As Australia continues to be ravaged by fires, Professor Dickman from the University of Sydney's School of Life and Environmental Sciences has estimated that more than 1 billion animals have been killed in the Australian bushfires. This figure includes mammals, birds and reptiles, but does not include insects, bats or frogs. And there will be many more casualties, as any animal that has survived the fires in the first instance will not have enough food or water to sustain them or a place to call home. Predators such as feral cats and red foxes are also a problem, easily catching the displaced animals. Any animals that have managed to retreat to unaffected areas have been found not to survive for very long, as they find it difficult to successfully compete with animals already living there. This week, the Morrison government pledged $50 million to help rescue and protect wildlife and help restore habitats affected by the fires. There has been the promise of more money in the future. The money is to be spent on priorities in burned areas and planning for longer-term protection and restoration of habitat. One of the priorities is in caring for and rehabilitating injured wildlife and providing food and water for animals that have survived, as well as controlling feral predators and other pests, which are such a danger to these vulnerable animals after the fires. There are many organisations that are helping the wildlife of Australia, such as the Wildlife Hospital in Port Macquarie that I mentioned in my first video on the fires in Australia. It continues its work caring for injured koalas and deployed 13 drinking stations in December. Since the start of January, 5 have been delivered to the Blue Mountains region and 8 have been sent to drought areas in the west. Last week, 2 were deployed in Crowdy Bay National Park and 4 will be installed in the Lake Innes area this week. They also want to establish 3 breeding areas which will be controlled and genetically managed to ensure the ongoing survival of healthy wild koalas. The Kangaroo Island Wildlife Park also continues to care for any animal brought into it. A few days ago, 9 of the rescued koalas who had minor injuries moved into a new, large soft-release enclosure where they can be monitored and released into a suitable location once the fires are over. On Wednesday, the park received a Rosenberg's heath monitor, which is an endangered species. He is the first reptile to be brought in. He was checked for burns and had ticks removed and was being monitored overnight before hopefully being released. Organisations such as the animal charity Humane Society International are at the forefront of the disaster, giving help where needed. They have deployed a search and rescue team to Kangaroo Island and have been searching for any wildlife that need their care. They have been taking animals to the wildlife park if appropriate, or if there is no hope for them, euthanizing the animals where they find them. If the animal is uninjured and has a reasonable food source, it is far less stressful for them to be left with a water station and the team checks back on them later. They are also building water and food stations to sustain uninjured wild animals in areas where there is none of their habitat left. In their search for live animals, they are coming across thousands of charred bodies. The scene they found in one area was described as nothing short of apocalyptic. They found only one living koala amongst thousands of bodies of koalas, kangaroos, wallabies and birds. The army, who was called in to help with the fires on Kangaroo Island, are moving the burnt carcasses into piles, where they are then taken by truck to be disposed of in trenches. I have previously mentioned Bear, the search and rescue dog that works with International Fund for Animal Welfare. He continues to be a hero, searching for any wildlife that needs help. He even has his own protective shoes to stop his feet from burning. Bear is not the only rescue dog. Taylor is a 4-year-old English Springer Spaniel who also sniffs out injured marsupials. Several of these koalas have been treated at Port Macquarie's Koala Hospital. In a bid to save the endangered brush-tailed Rock-Wallabies, the New South Wales government has implemented aerial food drops. The wallabies have survived the fires, but their food source around their rocky habitat has been destroyed. Thousands of kilograms of carrots and sweet potatoes have been delivered to them, and this will continue until their natural food sources and water become available again. Feral predator control is another aspect to helping these animals. There was a delightful story going around about wombats herding other animals to their burrows for safety. These stories are untrue, but wombats have been hailed as accidental heroes. Their warrens are large and complex, and well sheltered from the environment above ground. Small mammals have been caught on camera traps using wombat burrows, and are known to use them to take refuge from fires. So what can we do to help the wildlife in Australia? I'm sure, like me, many of you would like to hop on a plane and go and help, but this is not practical, and we would probably just get in the way. Organisations such as the World Wildlife Fund are asking for donations, and they have set up a scheme where you can become a koala protector. I have put the link at the top of the sources. The Koala Hospital in Port Macquarie has a GoFundMe page, as does the Kangaroo Island Wildlife Park. Again, the link is at the top of the sources. A viewer from Australia has posted a plea for donations to various Australian charities, which I have also listed in the sources. If you are an educator, then spread the word, and there's always fundraising that we could do. If you are into making things, then as I've mentioned previously, the Animal Rescue Craft Guild is coordinating the making of various sized pouches and nests for the jerrys and birds. So a lot is being done to help the vulnerable wildlife, but a lot more needs to be done as the fires continue and the habitat loss impacts on survivors. Australia needs our help, and we are, after all, one world.